we're now going to welcome our three previous speakers back to the stage for a panel discussion. So please welcome again Sarimu, Peter and Tom. Welcome back, as they say in the classics. Now, Tom, I'm going to start with you. You spoke about critical minerals, how crucial copper is now and ongoing. Can you give us some more details about Newmont's copper strategy?
Yeah, thanks. You hear me okay? Very good. I think there are five dimensions I'd put around that, and I think it is linked to how large gold mining companies should be thinking about their future as well. The first one is, and Peter had a great statistic in his slide, since the dawn of time, society has mined 700 million tonnes of copper through to today. In the next 10 years, we need to mine and produce that same amount in order to maintain the energy transition that we're working through. So it is a huge amount of copper that the world needs. So there's a great supply-demand story that is the first part of it. Second part of our strategy is that we're about running very large, long-life operations. That's the core of our portfolio. Large, long-life gold ore bodies often come with copper. So mining gold and copper often come together in these very large ore bodies. So organically, it's happening anyway. So it's a key part of our strategy. The third one is the geographies, the places, the jurisdictions we choose to go and operate in for gold miners. Those same jurisdictions often have copper. The source of gold and source of copper come together. So we're already in the jurisdictions and have those relationships to be able to do that. The fourth one is technology. Through our acquisition of Newcrest, we've just acquired the capability to do block cave mining, which is the critical mining technology needed to safely and efficiently develop these very large ore bodies. So if you think about that 700 million tonnes of copper that's needed in the next 10 years, a significant proportion of that is going to be produced using block caving mining, underground mining technology, and we have that now as a core part of our technology. And the fifth one, and I would say the most important one, is that copper mines are very large. Entrepreneurs can still develop a gold mine, but enterprises need to develop copper mines. They're multi-billion-dollar, multi-decade investments. And the most important thing around developing these very large operations is partnerships. Partnerships both in joint ventures, as the two of us joint venture partners together, will be an essential part of our strategy going forward and a part of who we are today. But it extends beyond the partners that you have within an operation. It's the partnerships that you develop with your workforce, with your host communities, with the governments in which you're in the countries in which you're operating. So partnerships is a key part of our strategy and is a key part of what's necessary to unlock the copper necessary to meet the energy demands of the world.
You spoke about megatrends in your speech. Peter, you were talking about mining with purpose. What does that mean from a Harmony perspective, and how does that relate to industry trends and global megatrends?
Yeah, I think the mining with purpose, kind of slogan that we use within our organisation developed, quite a number of years ago. At the time, Harmony was predominantly South African mining company with assets that was not performing well, and we started the process of really, focusing first of all on the core part of our assets, which is infrastructure improvement and things like that. But we also did a number of I think, quite strategic, acquisitions at the time. And the first one was really buying out Hidden Valley from Newcrest at that point in time, and actually making Hidden Valley, recapitalize Hidden Valley and making Hidden Valley the mine it is today. So the mining with purpose obviously has got a real technical focus, and then obviously also, taking our stakeholders along with us in all of that. We are operating in emerging markets. So, taking stakeholders like communities and is important everybody, is probably more important in these emerging markets, and then obviously also taking our workforce with you in that. We employ a very big number of employees, and actually being able to partner with a traditionally unionized environment was key in actually getting Harmony where it is today. So yes, and then of course, other part, you can latch so many things on mining with purpose, but there's also, we're focusing on the gold copper story today. And we will have silver and we'll have uranium as part of our business. But, I think that is a focus area that is, will stand us in good stead in the next number of years to actually focus on these two commodities. Like Thomas said, they normally comes together, especially in this part of the world. So we need to, trying to become a copper gold producer. We're not necessarily operating in the tier 1 field as Harmony because we are a much smaller company, a mid-tier type of company. So we're focusing on, the smaller gold or copper assets like EVA that we just recently bought, the project that we bought that potentially will, the big players will not necessarily be interested, but it's a good mine for a company like Harmony.
We've heard about how Harmony and Newmont operate. I want to go to you now because obviously Kumul Minerals is a state-owned entity. But in what ways does it operate differently within Papua New Guinea compared with other mining companies?
Okay, Kumul Minerals is owned by the peoples of PNG. So our interest really is to have longer-lasting equity benefits to the people themselves. So in terms of being different from the other mining companies, we have what we call projects of national interest. And I touched on that as part of the regional consolidation strategy. And these are projects that we will drive not so much because they have the highest IRR or NPV, but because they deliver a lot of benefits to the local communities, the provincial government, and eventually the government. So we will drive infrastructure-type development projects in this regional consolidation strategy. And what's very important is that this infrastructure development will not be restricted to the mine. There will be shared use infrastructure. So that is a strategy we want to develop, that the communities also have access to this. And as we provide, say, utilities like water and power, as the national mining company, we feel mandated that we should also provide that to our local communities. So in that respect, we are not driving purely like a simple financial criteria type investment. We are driving projects of national interest. So that is different.
Yeah, the benefits to the community.
Yes.
Let's bring this together now and talk about partnerships and collaboration and what it means to work in Papua New Guinea, to work with the people. What challenges, Peter, has Harmony found working in PNG, and how have you overcome those challenges?
Yeah, I think obviously one of the keys will be the partnership that the three of us will develop over time. I mean, that is, this is most likely a 40-year marriage. And like any marriage, you have to, it's give and take. But it's also about attitude. It's all about, the intent from the top. And, I've been working in many JVs in my life, and when the tone is set on the top in the right way, it actually gets to a, that's when a partnership works. And I think like any marriage, it's the same thing. So, yeah, so working in PNG is we found it fairly, very, very good. I mean, we've been managed to build a strong brand here, really have a quite good relationship with our hosted communities in Hidden Valley Mine, and looking forward to do the same at Wafi-Golpu. But I think, JVs in its core is difficult, and we've got quite a number of people in the JV, and we have to all work together, and it's important that we set the tone right from the top. Yeah.
Well, there's going to be a lot of work done in PNG. I want to move to you now, Tom, because you detail how, based on current copper production trends, there'll be a significant shortfall, 10 million tonnes by 2035 to meet expected demand. How is demand going to be met?
Yeah, thanks, Tracy. I'll come to that question, but you just made me think. 40 years married to this man. Having just passed my 30th wedding anniversary, and I think it's one thing within a relationship between two people, but the key part of organisations is that you actually be beyond the people, and these relationships are much longer than that. To your question, Tracy. That demand needs to be met by developing new copper mines. Just put that 10 million tonnes into perspective. That's on that gap. The biggest copper mine in the world is Escondida in Chile. It's, I think it's some years might do 1.4 million tonnes. Oh. So you're thinking about 7, 8 new Escondidas are needed. Escondida, like ore bodies, are very rare, but there's lots of copper in the world. There's some great prospectivity in Papua New Guinea. So when you think about the natural resources within Papua New Guinea and meeting that demand, Papua New Guinea is one of those jurisdictions, those countries that has the natural resources that can meet that demand. And I think it's how we operate our existing operations, Oktedi and Hidden Valley and Lahia, and how we work together to develop in partnership these new big operations to demonstrate to ourselves that we can do that well over the long term in relationships that will need to last through different people over 30, 40, 50 years. And through that foundation, gain the confidence within ourselves and for the broader mining industry to come into Papua New Guinea, identify those other deposits and to see those develop to contribute to that shortfall. There is a really, really, really fantastic opportunity for Papua New Guinea to be part of that, filling that 10 million tonne gap.
Speaking of being part of that, Kumul Minerals, do you see yourselves as being active or passive investors?
Okay, Kumul Minerals, and you will know that there is a holdings in there, limited. So at the moment, we are seeing as a holdings company. But really, when we start implementing our corporate plans and our strategic business plans, we will find ourselves by default moving into the active role. So we are already in the active role. When you look at Porgera, we have been very active in being with the state negotiating team and then Barrick team negotiating. We were there all the way of the process up to now. And I would like to announce that Porgera will be start on the 22nd of December. So next week, Friday. So we have got it there. So well done, the state team and also to the Barrick team. So we are already active in that role and also with Harmony and now with Newmont on Wafi. We have started engaging on that. So in that particular aspect, we have become active.
To a point earlier that I spoke about with the Prime Minister, Peter, we were talking about green economies. What sustainability practices has Harmony Gold implemented in PNG, particularly around environmental conservation and more broadly social responsibility?
Yeah, I think our primary source of energy in Hidden Valley Mine was always been the hydropower systems that we have in the country. Obviously, we have backup with diesel power to when the hydropower is not available. So we in the past used to have quite a high number, close to 90%, 87% around about that, of hydropower, the rest from then obviously diesel power. Of late we had quite a number of droughts coming through, so we had to substantiate it with diesel power or fill it up with that. Obviously, going forward to Wafi-Golpu, the primary would be to be able to get renewable power in place. As a company, our biggest, as you're probably all aware, is in South Africa, where most of our operations are. It's got quite a challenge with power supply. So we are building quite a number of solar-powered stations at the moment. First phase is already finished. Second phase will be completed by the end of next year. So then we will be taking quite a significant, over 160 megawatt of power that we will generate from solar. So we are quite big in expansion on that, and obviously in PNG we would like to do the same. We will not build a mine for 40 years and do it on fossil fuel power. We have to get it, big percentage of that must be on renewables.
Tom, what kind of partnerships or collaborations does Newmont have with NGOs and local government organisations in PNG to foster sustainable development?
Yeah, we have, as we think about our various partnerships, and if I think PNG, I think more broadly, the starting point for us is as I mentioned in my talk, the starting point for us is about building relationships based on trust and respect. And in building relationships based on trust and respect, there's a couple of components to it. One is that you are therefore prepared to be transparent and hold yourself to account. And that starts with your workforce. So when I think about partnerships, there's no use doing much outside the gate, the fence of your operation, unless you're building relationships that are transparent with your workforce and that you're holding yourself to account with the most fundamental contract we have in that relationship, which is to ensure that people can come to our workplace and do a shift or a day's work and go home safe and sound. So we protect them from safety and particularly fatality risk. That is at the absolute core of the relationship that we have with our workforce. That is the foundation of a relationship based on trust. Our workforce are members of the local communities, and as I mentioned, the communities are then constituents of the nation. So in order to build a foundation of trust within whoever you partner with, it starts with your workforce built into those communities. And then that will extend to community groups or NGOs, that you are then prepared to seek and build relationships based on trust, based on respect, based upon transparency and accountability. And that is core to who we are at Newmont, and it goes beyond any individual leader at Newmont. It is the culture within our organisation. So again, we joke about the 40-year marriage. The 40-year marriage is more than just an individual. It's about the culture within an organisation and the relationships they build over time. So I think about that question in terms of the fundamental culture you have as an organisation, the principles with which you apply your work, and then you're able to build relationships with community groups, with NGOs and others that can stand the test of time.
Speaking about safety and responsibility, Sarimu, how do you approach risk management, particularly in an area where there can be geopolitical and environmental challenges?
Yeah, it's like Octedi is one project where we have a diverse risk portfolio there, scape. So in terms of identifying risk, it's like, for us, I think we need to work from where the people are, from the ground up, and understanding what is it that will potentially become problematic for the operations. Understanding that and doing your normal work as a mining operation as well, you have a set, structured risk management type matrix and management system that you go through. But the other risk that you need to manage is the people themselves. So understanding what you are doing to the environment, what is the livelihood like, understanding the full spectrum of what your impact are to the communities, I think it's a huge part of understanding how to manage that risk profile that is really non-operational, but it's impactful for the mine itself. Yes.
What we're talking about a lot here, really, because all of these three leaders have enormous jobs. We're talking about legacy. So I'm going to ask you all the same question before we wrap up. First of all, you, Peter, what kind of legacy would you and your company like to leave in PNG for the long term, and what positive achievements are you hoping to leave the country with?
Yeah, I think, we certainly as a company would like to be well respected in terms of the brand that we're building. And first of all, safety is good. Surely making sure that we build a environment that we operate at. There's real prosperity in that environment. There's real opportunities for people. People must look up to the brand and be very, very familiarize themselves and be an ambassador for our brand. I think we demonstrate in PNG and also in the other areas that we work is that we try and do that, and we've been quite successful in creating local businesses, small businesses that eventually grew into fairly big businesses. But then of course we have to treat everybody with care and respect, and I think it's extremely important for us as a company that we have that, but that we also are inclusive and bringing in all races, different genders, all every together. The Prime Minister talked about stronger together. That's obviously a very strong slogan for Springbok rugby, where we really saw that being including everybody in the process, it is actually very, very important. And I think we as a company would like to be on the forefront of that process and that transformation.
Care, respect, inclusivity. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, Tracy, when I think about that question, I reflect upon our purpose statement as an organisation, which is to create value and improve lives through responsible, sustainable mining. When I think about the improved lives piece, that is a key part of the legacy that having clarity around the purpose can deliver. So ultimately, an ore body has a finite life. So whether we're mining an operation or in a community whether it's for 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, ultimately that ore body will come to an end. And the legacy that we look to leave as we think about our purpose statement and the work we do is that we are improving lives in the time that we are at an operation, but the legacy is that after that operation moves into closure, we have improved lives well beyond the life of that mine in terms of the skills development, the improvement of living conditions and other things that have well outlived the operation. So the legacy is what we leave behind after we've finished the operation is one of the very important measures of who we are at Newmont.
Improving lives for the long term. Sarimu, your legacy.
Well, definitely I agree with the other two speakers. We are the national mining company. So the legacy we want to build is really sustainable economic development for the local communities, putting in infrastructure that will gradually improve the lives of our people, that are sustainable, that can be sustainably managed, and that can reach beyond the life of a project. So really that's what we want to drive.
Thank you so much. Please put your hands together for Sarimu, Tom and Peter. Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy.